Hi, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, it's a little different. I mean, it's not. It has two jobs, okay, today's video. So I am releasing a laser or craft cut file on my Etsy, and I wanted to create an accompanying assembly video. So that's what today's video is, which, I mean, isn't really that much different than any of my other videos. So if you didn't buy the file, you're just here to watch me make stuff, which is not any different from any other video. However, if you did buy my Jelly Cupboard digital file, cut file, thank you. Thank you for your money. I like it. I like using it to buy things. Like really cute dresses that were made out of a tablecloth. Isn't that amazing? So today we are going to be assembling this one, but also I wanted to show you this assembled little guy because, I don't know, it's really, really cute. And it is the same product. I love an option, okay? I love an option. And I wanted it to be suitable for a bunch of different builds. So like this, I'm gonna use in my vintage, like 1970s kitchen. This one, I don't know where I'm gonna put it. It just looks really cute. It's got like a maximalist vibe. The other option is that you can just have like a plain door too. And it also comes with quite a few different options for hardware. So yeah, you can just like kind of customize it, which I think is nice. This is a bigger build. It's definitely more 1/6 scale. Like it wouldn't be suitable for 112 or 116. So, you know, if you want those, let me know. You know, let me see who's out there and what your desires are, because I have dedicated my life to fulfilling your desires. Just kidding. I've dedicated my life to buying purses. It's important. You need to know if you bought this file, you need to have like some kind of craft cutter or laser. That's what it's designed to be on. Otherwise, the materials are pretty basic. It does require some sewing pins, glue, paint if you want to paint it or stain or finish or leave her naked, you know? No one's going to say nothing. For this style, I just harvest trash. So trash harvest. That's what I like to call it. Like if I'm cutting up cardboard, I'm harvesting cardboard. This is just like the plastic that, you know, if you buy like a container of raw spinach or if you're building this, you are obviously a doll collector. So the front of any doll box is really perfect for making this kind of glass. And the door's open. Maybe. That's the thing, when you design something really well, it's gonna be a real snug fit. Has a little shelf. The inspiration for this was that I made a bunch of like really cute, and there's a short, I'll link it. But I made a bunch of really cute like mason jars full of canned vegetables. So I wanted a little space to display those. I want to make more too, because I was just really so happy with how they came out. Anyway, so yeah, that's what today's video is. And enjoy. And if you like it and you want to buy this, then it will be available on my Etsy, which is linked below. Yeah, cool. Thanks for being here. If you're new here, I'm Allison. This is Fezziwig Toys. I make miniatures and I cuss a lot and I'm really funny. I have really nice hair. And, you know, generally it's a good time. Mostly I'm out just looking for best friends. So, you know, drop a comment if you want to be my bestie. Also, you know, do the things. Do the things. If you like the vibe, if you like see me, you see these, you go like, yeah, this is my vibe, don't hesitate. You'll forget because it's just going to jump to a new video. You could forget. Just hit it right now. Just what's stopping you? You know, you can always unsubscribe. Don't do that. Later, if you decide you hate me, but just like, you know, ding, ding, it takes 2 seconds. I'm begging. Just kidding. Cool. Enjoy the video. Thanks for being here. Okay, bye.
What the dog doing? What the dog doing? What the dog doing? What the dog doing? What the dog doing?
The one comment I have about assembling this piece that is a little bit confusing, so I just want to add some clarity. The bottom base piece, it does not work in both directions. So there is a top and a bottom. So if you can't get the piece to fit together perfectly, flip over that bottom piece, because I really confused myself when I was assembling it. Like, what did I do? And that was what it was. Otherwise, if you just kind of follow along step by step, it's pretty basic. You know, it's just gluing pieces together.
All right, so we have reached the point in the build where we are ready to do some hinges and attach the doors. One thing I realized that I did not do before painting was sanding down these edges a little bit, just to make a little bit more room so that this just has a little bit more space. And that's annoying because I'm gonna have to touch up the paint. So, but oh well, that's fine. This is probably like 150. I don't know. It probably doesn't matter that much. And I'm gonna just kind of do about a 45-degree angle. Like I'm just gonna kind of try to round this over a bit. Let's see if you can, I don't know if you can make that out. Wrong one. So you can kind of see right here, that edge has been rounded a little bit. So you can see that edge is rounded versus this edge is still square. It'll make your doors swing a little bit better. All right, so this is arguably the most complicated part about it. And it's really not difficult, but it's slightly more difficult than gluing things together. So you're gonna need some sewing pins, just the cheapest ones you can find. I really like using these little sprue snips that I have for my 3D printer because it gets it really nice and flat. But if you don't have these, some pliers that have like a cutting edge on them would be fine as well. All right, I'm gonna take this blue tape and just tape this door into the position that I want it to be in, like with it aligned perfectly at both edges. There is a little space between here and there, and it has to in order to swing so that the edge doesn't rub against it. So don't be reliant on pushing it flat against this, because this is probably a 1/4 of an inch, and it's probably like 1/8 of an inch out from that. So don't just like set this flat on here and do it from there, because I mean, you can see the hole will come way in front of that. All right, so I'm gonna hold it pretty good. I'm gonna take my pin and I'm just gonna stick it in there and make a little mark, hopefully. Yep, there's a mark there. You're not gonna be able to see it on film. The other thing that you are going to need is a pin vise and some little tiny drill bits. Usually what I do when I'm trying to figure out what size drill bit to use, I just like hold it up and I go like, yeah, that's about the same size. There's probably, I mean, I guess you could like have calipers and measure and stuff. I'm not gonna do any of that. Let's be honest. All right, so one thing I'm noticing right now is it wasn't exactly aligned, and so I am going to just shift it a little bit and make sure it's just right in the center. And then I'll use this little hand drill. This is a really handy dandy tool that I definitely recommend every miniaturist get. And like, I'm just gonna kind of go as deep as it sort of wants to let me. And I'm gonna stick this pin in just to like, yeah, that's enough. You know, it's maybe 1/8 of an inch or something, which doesn't sound like a lot, but on this scale, you know, that's plenty. Do the same thing where I just mark it with the pin. And like, I'm pushing pretty hard right there, just to get enough to make an indentation. Yep, and that's good. And that one is really centered too. You just gently kind of push with your hand and let it let it just do its thing. And again, I just kind of keep going until I feel like it's not gonna make any more progress. It's probably good enough, but I will check it. Like that, yeah, that's good. That's a lot. Okay. I'm gonna use some super glue. I've been finding that I'm using this a lot lately because it just dries really fast. I'm going to tape this back into position with the whole side down. All right. I'm going to take my pin and I'm just going to dip it in the super glue and I'm going to stick it down in that hole, and that's it. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Taking my pin, dipping it into the super glue, putting it down in there. If at first you hit part, just move it a little bit, just wiggle it a little bit till it finds the hole. And I'm just gonna let those dry. And eventually I will cut them, but for the moment I'm just gonna let them chill out. All right, so now we've come to the part where we can do the top piece. And I'm actually gonna use some white glue for this. I don't know why. Maybe I think that white glue, PVA glue and wood glue are better for holding things longer, or they're better at binding with wood. I could be 100% incorrect on that. I'm gonna put a little bit on this edge too.
What the dog doing?
I really don't like excess glue. Like, I really like it to be clean because it can get really messy if you just like slop glue everywhere. Yeah, and I'm gonna hold this, make sure everything's kind of aligned. I think I'm even gonna put some tape on it. Act as kind of a clamp.
What the dog doing?
Okay, so the next step in this process is we are going to make the holes for this piece the same way we did before. Okay. We're just marking, right, this time. All right, now I am going to cut these little guys. Get them, you know, pretty close to the edge. Okay, and I'm gonna remove this tape. if I can. Now these I can remove really easily because they just have these little hinges. You can see that's what it looks like. All right, so now I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Okay. So you can see how deep that's going in. It's probably to like there. So that's a decent amount. It doesn't seem like much, but that's a decent amount. So just stick that guy in there and set him aside. All right, so now we are ready to finish the assembly of our doors. All right, so we're just gonna be able to pop these right back into place. Just like that. Really gonna goop this guy up with some super glue. There we go. And now we have one door. Yay! All right. All right. If you have these little, see that little nubbin right there? If you hate that, what I do is I usually just take the plier and I kind of just like hammer it down in. So now you can see like that's completely flat. Yeah, it's pretty close to flat. And I'm gonna take this tape off. And I can take these guys off. And I'm gonna just trim these down again. And since I have something that's gonna sit on top of this, I'm gonna do the same thing and pound them down. It just kinda, it's just good, it's a good habit. All right, so now we are ready to install our the top of our unit. One thing you can do that I did not do is you could definitely put a bevel on this. You could add trim, you could make it way more fancier if you wanted to. And I just didn't for this unit. So that fits really perfectly. I'm gonna use my white glue again for this. And I'm gonna be pretty liberal with the glue. This is just a little scrap. I like to keep little scraps like this because they're good for spreading glue. Also, it's not gonna hurt nobody to put a little glue down in that hole too. Just a little extra insurance. All right, and now I'm just gonna pop this in place. I'm just gonna tape this down. Just so I can keep working on it. All right, and now we are ready to put the feet on. All right, so the legs are two different parts. There's the front and the back. And there's the two sides. I'm just gonna go along the edge and kind of scrape off any excess paint. Because of the paint that's on these joints, it's not like fitting that great, or it's fitting a little too snug. So I'm just gonna tap this down. See if I can just get it a little more flush. And you can see that fit way better. This one too feels a little bit too tight, so I'm just gonna sand it slightly on the edges. All right, that's a lot better. All right, so that looks pretty good. It's pretty square on the inside. So what I'm looking for here is I want it to fit snugly. Like if it can hold itself into place, that's a great sign that it fits perfectly, but it's also not pushing these pieces out, right? That would definitely be an indicator that this piece is too big and that you need to sand it down. That is way too much glue, so we will be removing a lot of that.
What the dog doing?
There we have our other leg, and that's it. That's the whole process. I realized when I got to the end of the assembly process with this that I had not designed any hardware for handles, and I have made the sort of maximalist version of this, and I had 3D printed the handles, so I just hadn't even considered, you know, the fact that someone else might not have a 3D printer, or they might just not want to have to 3D print something. So anyway, I designed quite a few different options because it comes in different styles, and also, I don't know, your girl loves an option, you know? And you can size these in Glowforge or whatever your app is. Like, I guess if you use Silhouette or Cricut or something, you know, if you want them wider or shorter or whatever. But here's a few different options. Just, you know, I wanted to have like a plain option, and then a couple that are a little more like modern or styled, just depending on, like, this is clearly like the vintage model, but you know, if you're doing the maximalist one or just going with plain, you know, you might want to have some options. So the other aspect is, so it's a 2-part build, and so this is like basically just the spacer, just to like, if this is sitting flat, that's not really helping anybody to help you open your thing. So it will just, it'll give you about 1/8 of an inch. If you think that's too much, you could definitely cut it in a 1/16 or something For this is a 1/6 build, and I think it looks pretty good. So I'm gonna start by just gluing these guys together. I'm still deciding which one I wanna use. I'm gonna use my trusty Gorilla Super Glue, just cause it's fast, and I don't think it super matters with this. I think I wanna go with these ones. I'm gonna use a tweezer, just so I'm a little more precise. And I'm not gonna measure anything. I'm just gonna eyeball it. So there you go. I just tried to align it in both directions. That's pretty cute. I also think, so see how these doors are sinking in? See that? I'm gonna put a stop on the inside of this too, so then they won't fall in as much. And I will show you how to do that. So what I'm gonna do is just have this flush where I want it sitting, and I'm just gonna make a little pencil line in there. You could also measure it if you wanted to be, I don't know if you're even gonna be able to see that, but yeah, you can kind of see it like right there. You could also just measure it. We know that this wood is, you know, about 3 millimeters. If you really want to be exact, you could exactly measure it, but like, come on, we're not gonna do that. I'm actually gonna use this door handle that I didn't use. It is gonna have to be painted, of course. All right, so I'm gonna use white PVA glue because that gives me a little more time for wiggling. All right. So again, I'm gonna have this lined up flush where I want it. It's kind of hard to see. And I'm gonna put about half of it just behind it. See how that looks? Looks pretty straight. Actually, I think I want it a little bit more like there. All right, so that should look like that. Oops. And I'm just gonna let that dry for a couple minutes while I install the hardware. All right, so we did some painting. Now we have little cutie guys, and I'm gonna install them. Something like that, hopefully. They don't seem like they really wanna stand up on their own, so something like that. What do we think? All right, I'm gonna use some trusty old Gorilla Glue. And I really wanna kinda try to line this point up with that point. I think that will look good. And have it aligned with this line as well. Hopefully. And I'm just gonna hold this here for a minute, just till it starts to adhere. Okay. And there you have it. There's the build. I'm gonna go back in and touch up some of the paint and stuff. Remember, I have to touch up here and the stop on the inside. I kind of wish I would have filled this in. Maybe I'll do that with some glue. and just paint it just to make it look a little bit more finished. But anyway, yeah, cool. On to the review. All right. Thanks for watching. What'd you guys think? Was it super sick? If you have any questions, if anything wasn't super clear and you're trying to make this, just message me on Etsy. I'll try to walk you through it. This hasn't really been tested, so I tried to find people to test my stuff, but it's not the easiest thing. If you want to be a tester for future products too, message me on Etsy or leave a comment below, and we'll work that out because that would be really helpful. I hope it seemed pretty easy to me. It seems pretty easy, but I've built like some variation of this cabinet many, many times. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you in the next video. Let's be best friends, and okay, bye! Why am I so gassy today?